Ever since the Padres' mostly miserable and incredibly disappointing season came to a close, people started bringing up the idea of the team trading Juan Soto, someone whose name was even thrown around this year at the trade deadline as a potential piece to be dealt, which would have been crazy considering it was just 1 year after a blockbuster trade, one of the biggest trades of all time that brought Soto to San Diego. They trade so many prospects, promising young players for Soto, only to flip him a year later. It was never too serious of a rumor, and it obviously never came to fruition, but that hasn't stopped people from dragging his name back into trade rumors once the Padres season was over. Soto has just 1 year left in his contract before becoming a free agent. He's still expected to get one of the largest contracts ever in free agency, and the Padres already have so much money being poured into their roster. In fact, it's gotten to the point where the team is even having some financial issues, with a recent report coming out from the site The Athletic talking about it, with another report following that up with an even wilder rumor. But super quick, I'm trying to get to 140,000 subscribers before 2024, so if you enjoy the content and haven't hit that button yet, consider doing so. Thank you. So according to The Athletic, people briefed on the team's finances told them, quote unquote, the Padres took out a loan for about $50 million in September to address short-term cash flow issues and meet their obligations, including player payroll. Some officials in the sport have claimed that there shouldn't be much concern regarding this, but other officials who are aware of the team's finances, people who are not allowed to speak publicly on the matter, did in fact view the Padres' financial situation as worrisome, with a Padres official anonymously being quoted as saying, "If the question is, despite all that revenue growth, why would we need to be borrowing more money? I mean, you can connect these dots. The levels of payroll that we've been at have probably been in excess of what we could have supported, but it was part of the larger plan." The Padres CEO made a statement on the situation, obviously assuring everyone that the Padres are fine and still have all the resources to field a competitive Padres team, while Major League Baseball and the MLB Players Association declined to comment. Overall, the people within the Padres organization don't seem to be too worried about this whole loan situation, but regardless, it's pretty clear that the Padres will be looking to cut payroll at least a decent chunk this offseason, which would of course mean trading some players and getting their money off the books. So again, with just 1 year left before he becomes a free agent, Juan Soto is the most obvious trade choice. If they do trade him, that takes his $20+ million off their payroll for 2024, while also of course likely not bothering to sign him to a massive contract when he hits the free agent market, if he even makes it that far, without getting extended by whoever he's traded to, which I think would be the most likely scenario. As the days continue to pass by, the more and more confident I'm getting in a Juan Soto trade. It just seems so bound to happen when you look at how many big contracts the Padres already have committed to. It just wouldn't make sense for them to have these financial quote-unquote issues, shoot to cut payroll, but then sign Soto for the largest contract on the team, a team that consists of huge contracts already. It just doesn't add up. So obviously Soto's got to go. Well, not necessarily. In a recent article from USA Today, it was reported that the Padres are planning to cut their payroll by about $50 million this offseason. And remember when I said trading Soto would get his $20+ million off the books for 2024? I lied. It would get his $30+ million off the books, as he's actually projected to get $33 million in arbitration for next year. Even more money, but according to other general managers around the league, the general consensus is that Soto will actually have more value at the trade deadline than moving him now. Okay, interesting, but this was then followed by something crazier. According to these other general managers being asked about the Padres situation, they would not be surprised if the Padres found a way to try and get rid of Xander Bogaerts and or Fernando Tatis Jr. in creative deals to avoid trading Soto, with the article going on to mention that the Padres are indeed looking to trade Jake Cronenworth, someone who actually just signed a 7-year, $80 million contract before the 2023 season. Clearly not as insane as Manny Machado's extension contract he signed around the same time for $350 million, but still some money that can be moved to help cut payroll. But obviously, the names Xander Bogaerts and, of course, Fernando Tatis Jr. being thrown around as potential trade candidates is just crazy. When Tatis signed his 14-year extension back before the 2021 season, I assumed he was bound to be a Padre for life. I mean, how can you not? How can you trade your new face of your franchise, your young superstar, especially now that he's on such a massive contract? Xander Bogaerts is just as crazy, if not crazier, considering, they literally just signed him. To sign a player for 11 years just to turn around and trade him is honestly a terrible look, in a sense where you're basically admitting you screwed up and are giving up on a player you just gave an insanely long contract to. Now, the Xander contract was crazy to begin with. Considering it was for 11 years, Bogaerts will be 41 when it's done. He has wrist issues. It's hard to see him still being able to play a good enough shortstop into his mid to late 30s. I mean, it was an overpay. That was clear from the beginning. But to give up on that deal less than a year after signing it is just wild, and shows that maybe the Padres just should have, not given Bogaerts 11 years to begin with. But you can't go back now, and I doubt he's traded. But even the fact that the idea is being mentioned ever so slightly is insane. And the same goes for Tatis. Fernando Tatis Jr., like I said, is the face of the Padres. Yes, he had the whole suspension and everything while also being kind of reckless off the field in multiple ways, but he's still an insanely talented, valuable, fun player and personality who's also still incredibly young. And not only that, but his contract isn't even that insane as far as how much money the Padres have to give to him annually, at least for the next several years. It's more backloaded, meaning his annual salary will go up a pretty good amount at the end of his contract for the last 6 years of it, to be exact. In those last 6 years, he's going to be getting $36 million a year. But in 2024, he's only getting $11 million. Starting in 2025, he'll get $20 million until 2027, when that'll jump to $25 million. And then 2029 will be the first of the 6 years where he makes $36 million a year. The overall money, though, despite being $340 million, which of course is a lot of money, it's still over the course of 14 freaking years, which is an average of about $24 million a year. So honestly, at least the way I see it, I don't think this Tatis contract is that bad in terms of potential overpay or anything for the Padres. In fact, when he originally signed the deal, I remember many people, including myself, making the point that Tatis made a mistake in agreeing to that contract, since he could potentially have gotten even more in free agency. But whatever. Point is, Tatis's contract is still huge, but it's not going to be as huge and lucrative as Soto's eventual contract. I think the best and most realistic route to go if you're the Padres is to trade Juan Soto, so that alone is cutting payroll by over $30 million, and then Jake Cronenworth on top of that. Those two together makes payroll go down about $40 million. But these reports are really making it seem like the Padres may very well want to hold on to Soto. But here's also why things don't seem to add up, though, regarding that and potentially trading Tatis while also wanting to cut payroll. In the same exact article, it also included the Padres as a team that will make a strong push for Shohei Ohtani. Again, that doesn't add up. If the Padres want to keep Soto and trade Tatis instead, while also making a big push for Shohei Ohtani, I don't know if the Padres fully understand how money and simple math works. If you do nothing but add more money onto your payroll, you're not cutting payroll at all. You're doing the exact opposite. Let's do some simple day one math here. For the record, I am terrible at math, but I think I have this down. If the Padres keep Juan Soto, they're also keeping his projected $33 million for 2024. If they decide to trade Tatis instead, yes, they are getting rid of his money for 2024, but again, Tatis is only getting $11 million next year. Okay, so we've cut payroll by $11 million. I hope you're still following along here. And I'm mostly saying that so I myself stay focused. It's the easiest math ever, but I still don't fully have faith I'm going to make it through. So you keep Soto in his $33 million, trade Tatis in his $11 million, and then go out and sign Shohei Ohtani to add at least $40 million to your 2024 payroll? So let's say Ohtani gets a $40 million per year contract. In an attempt to cut payroll by $50 million, you end up cutting payroll by negative $62 million. So in other words, the Padres just added $62 million when they're trying to get rid of $50 million. It obviously makes zero sense. Trading Tatis won't cut payroll by much, and neither will trading Jake Cronenworth. If you pair one of those two with Juan Soto, yes, that's about $40 million you're able to cut, but obviously the Padres aren't trading both Soto and Tatis, so what the hell is going on here? Very conflicting reports. There's no way in hell that the Padres are going to cut payroll at all, period, let alone cut payroll by $50 million if they prefer to keep Soto and make a hard push for Ohtani. So trading Fernando Tatis Jr. makes no sense for several reasons. He's the face of your team, you committed to him, he's still young, he's still got it, and trading him really won't make much of a dent in your payroll for 2024. And also, who's to say whoever acquires Tatis in a hypothetical trade would even agree to take on the whole contract? Even if they trade Tatis, the Padres still might end up having to pay Tatis about half his contract. There's no guarantee they just get rid of the entire responsibility of paying him. So I personally don't see Tatis getting traded, honestly, ever. He seems like a Padre for life. You of course never truly know, though. Anything can happen. But trading Soto just is and continues to be the most realistic and obvious way for the Padres to cut payroll, if they do really indeed want to cut payroll and are serious about that. Not trading Tatis, not Bogarts, and also not going after Shohei freaking Ohtani. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.